that property as an example. So we're going to talk about ABID, and some of you are actually doing ABID as well because you just have your offers accepted. And it was such a long time ago since the last time we did the ABID training, so it's time to do it again. And this time we're doing the ABID training by itself, which means that it is going to be a short training, maybe just half an hour. I think I'd rather do the ABID training by itself. That way it's easier for you to locate the video in case you need to go back and locate the video. Now, somebody was asking me, well, you know, when is a good time to do the ABID? Good time. If you are the listing agent, when's the best time to do your ABID? I would think that the best time to do the ABID will be when you schedule a home inspection, when you have your home inspector there, if you're the listing agent. Here in, actually, both Southern California and Northern California, we recommend that you get a home inspection report done, okay? As soon as possible. If you're the listing agent, you always want to recommend to your seller to get a home inspection done before you put it on the MLS. Why do you want to recommend to your seller to get a home inspection report done? Well, there are several reasons for that. If you get your seller to do the home inspection first, and if it's by a reputable company, over here in the Bay Area, HomeGuard is a reputable home inspection company, and they generally do a very good job. If there's anything to be fixed, you want to fix it before the buyer's inspection company finds out about it. Because if the buyer's inspection company finds out about it, usually they want a price reduction. And we don't want to have that discussion with the buyer. So generally speaking, we want to finish the home inspection report before we even put it on the market. Ideally, that's what you want to do. But sometimes the seller has certain priorities. The seller needs to have the property sold by a certain date. You may have certain seller who is thinking about saving on the mortgage payment, because the sooner they get the property sold, the more money they save in terms of mortgage payments. They make less mortgage payments. So the seller is always in a hurry to get the property on the market. Okay, so that's one reason why they want to list it so fast and have it on the market so fast. But as a listing agent, do you want to have a property put on the market without any repair done? Or do you want to finish all the repairs such as there's nothing to fix when the buyer buys the property? You want to have a clean inspection report. So when they come in for the inspection, you want to be there. When you're there, you can ask them questions. If you see some things that you want to ask some questions about, you can ask them. So you do your ABID on the day that they're supposed to be there, ideally, but it doesn't always work out that way. Personally, in this case, for 8975 El Costa, I wasn't there. So that is second best, but I did visit the property for at least 3 times before I put it on the market. So I know quite a bit about the property. And I've also reviewed the home inspection report. So I know what needs to be fixed. Some of these things I want to put in my AVID. AVID stands for Agent Visual Inspection Disclosure. Now, if you're asking me, Should I have the AVID completed before I put it on the MLS and then have it as part of the disclosure package? Or should I do the AVID after the property is active on the market? What are the pros and cons? Well, the pro is you get one more thing accomplished, so you don't have to worry about it. Because sometimes you get too busy, you forgot to do your AVID, and you don't do it until like one day before close of escrow. That's not a good thing, because it is stressful doing an AVID just before close of escrow. Because after you do the AVID, you still need to get signatures on the AVID. Now, if you do an AVID, whose signatures are you supposed to get on your AVID? If you're the listing agent, for whom does the listing agent do the AVID, the seller or the buyer? The buyer. Both the selling agent and the listing agent prepare the AVID for the buyers. So if that's the case, does the law require that I get the seller signatures on my AVID if I'm the listing agent? The law does not require it. The law requires that this buyer receive the AVID. The law does not require that the seller receives the AVID. But is it important though for me to get the seller signature on the AVID? Frankly, it's not important because he's the guy who's going to get rid of the house. Does he care about it that I did a bad job on the AVID? He might care if I do a bad job, because if I don't do well on the AVID, I get sued. He also gets sued. So in that sense, the seller might care what my AVID looks like. So if I don't do a good job and the seller himself knows what a bad job is like, he might want to see my AVID before we close escrow. But as a listing agent, I am not required. Do I need a second pair of eyes to make sure that I did not miss anything? Certainly, you have me as the second pair of eyes. It is my job to review your file. And if you share your folder with me, I get to see everything, including your AVID. But if you don't upload your documents on a timely basis, sometimes I miss them. And I don't want to miss out the opportunity to review your file. If I review your file, there are certain things that I look for. One of them is definitely your AVID, because if you screwed up, I get sued as well. So if I review your file, for sure I will review your AVID. So it actually is important for you to get the AVID done as soon as possible. That way you give me as much time as possible to review your folder. And some of you are not doing a very good job in creating your folders timely. Some people waited until just before close of escrow to upload everything. You're not giving me enough time to review your folder. But if you do like some of the people do, like for example, I know Anthony, he always say, can you check my folder? I'm about to close escrow tomorrow. Okay? It's probably better that you tell me like 48 hours before instead of 24 hours, because sometimes I do get busy. If you tell me, okay, Kenny, I'm closing my escrow in 2 days, can you review my folder? I will say, sure, I'll review your folder. I'll take a look and see what's missing. All right? That will make sure that if I see something that is not right, I will correct it. Okay? So that's why we need to do the AVID early. Agent's folder, you know, in your own folder, you will say Centermac - Kathleen Xiang, and you should all have a folder like that. If you don't have a folder like that, maybe because you're a new agent and you don't know how we do things here. So the way we do things is that all of your folders, myself, you and Lisa, we are the only 3 people that have access to your folder. And the reason why Lisa needs to access your folder because sometimes she needs to put things on your folder. Okay? Now, in the future, if you have your own transaction coordinator, because right now you're not too busy yet, as you get busier, you do like 50 or more transactions, so you may need a transaction coordinator. See, in our company, we train our agents well, so they don't need a transaction coordinator. But there are some agents that come from another company. I know in some companies, they ask their agent to hire transaction coordinators since day one, such that many agents that come from those companies, they don't know how to manage their folder. They don't know where to put and all of that. The transaction coordinator does everything for them. Now, if you came from another company, you want to continue to use a transaction coordinator, that's fine. You just have to pay for a transaction coordinator, which is not very expensive, maybe $300 per file. You should be able to do that, and they will organize your file properly, okay? And if you work with the transaction coordinator, usually I want to go over with the transaction coordinator how we organize our files. So once the files are organized, it makes it easier for the reviewer. Today is me. In a few years, there may be more than one person reviewing files. Right now, it's just me, okay? All right, so it's important that you do your ABID as soon as you get a chance, and the best timing is actually when the home inspector is there. Because most of the time as a listing agent, when the home inspector is there, you are supposed to be there anyway. Since you're supposed to be there anyway, why not save yourself a trip by doing your ABID when the home inspector is there? Okay? In this case, I did not manage to do it, so I did it when the guy wasn't there. But I did review the inspection report. Okay? All right, so let's look at the Zipforms. Where did tech go? So it's actually perfect timing anyway. I'm supposed to do an ABID for this listing that I have, and I have not done it yet. Okay? Now, the law says you're supposed to do it before close of escrow. So the law actually gives you a lot of time to do your ABID. Okay? But you want to do that as soon as possible. Now, in my case, I set up this document. In my case, I created a lot of templates. You see all these templates that I created for myself to make my job a lot easier. You see all these templates, all this disclosure template. Let's see if my disclosure is in one of the templates. If it's not, I'll just import it. Okay. Fertile lab-based paint, solar property, questionnaire, water heater, transfer disclosure. So it's not in here, so I'm just going to import it. Okay. So, oops, that's e-sign. Let me go ahead and find the quickest way to find a form, as you know, is use abbreviation. So ABID. So I got my abbreviation, right? It wasn't imported, so let me try again. Sometimes this zip form just do crazy things, as you know. That's just previewing form. I don't want to preview the form. Okay. Usually you click it, it's supposed to import. I don't know what happened today. All right. When you run into a problem like that, the only solution is to exit the zip form and come back in. Okay. It happens a lot. Sometimes this zip form will do crazy things. So you just exit it and then you come back again. Okay. That's the only solution. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try again. Maybe it's telling me that I have this form hidden somewhere already. Okay. Let's see here. If you see the form, let me know, okay? I don't see the form here. Which other folder? Other than Zipforms. Let me search. No, usually it should be, oh, here. Okay, I got it. All right, so because this is my existing folder, right? I have this address and everything, so it's automatically populated. Okay, so all this information is already input somewhere. We don't have a duplex, triplex, or fourplex situation. So the box is not checked. Okay, the property address is right here. Inspection performed, they want the broker firm name, so you just type in Centermac Realty. Okay. All right. And this one, I should just, you have to put the date you did the inspection. Okay. In this case, I chose the day that I was there, which is the open house date. And the inspection date, well, actually this one you can put today's date, which is the 30th. The inspection date was the 20th, 28th. Since I've been there so many times, I just pick a date that I actually did the inspection. Okay. Now the visual inspection simply means just visual. You basically walk around the property and then note down anything that is important about the house that you see that you want the buyer to be aware of. Okay. If you really have nothing to say, don't try to say anything if you don't have anything to say, right? If it's good condition or everything, do you need to write down good condition? No, you don't. So I was there. I'm just going to put, let's say, 1 p.m. Okay, so that's when I did the inspection. Weather condition, it was sunny. Okay. All right. Other persons present. I'm just going to put none. It was just me. Entry. Now, if you have nothing to note, write down nothing to note. Don't try to write down something you really have nothing to write. So at the entry, I was satisfied with what I see, so I have nothing to note. Okay. Most likely, most of this will be nothing to note. Okay. Living room. I don't have anything to note on the living room. Okay. So you'll be just nothing to note. Do you need to feel guilty when you write nothing to note? No. You really have nothing to note. You write down nothing to note. There's no need to feel guilty about it. Okay. Dining room. Do I need to write anything? No. I did not notice anything on that dining room. Okay. It does have a small area. That's the dining room. Now kitchen. Inside one of the cabinet. Exposed wiring per home guard. I saw the same thing, okay, but it was actually home guard that pointed out to me, but I did see the same thing, okay. Other room, nothing for now. There is one room though. That is the storage room at the balcony. Damage door per home guard report. Basically, it was home guard that pointed out to me, and I saw the same thing. Okay, so I just kind of noted it here. Hallway and stairs, nothing to note. Okay. Bedroom 1. Now, don't write down nothing to note unless it's truly nothing to note. If there's something to note, you better note it here, okay? And then we got bedroom 2, which I have nothing to note, okay? I got only one bathroom, okay? I would say floor tiles replaced. This one I know because I actually asked for the floor tiles to be replaced in the bathroom. You want to use the word new or just simply say floor tile replaced? When you write ABID, avoid the use of the word new. Don't write anything like new this or new that. What happened? You were wrong, it's not new. Maybe, somebody just replaced the tiles, but the tiles were actually from another property. We don't know. We just know that the tiles have been replaced, so I just say floor tiles replaced. I always avoid using the word new. There's no need to mention it, okay? Avoid using words like new, good, things like that. New or good is not something that you want to put on your ABID. If it's new buyer, doesn't need to know. Because you know why? If buyer needed to know that it was new, it was not from your ABID. It was from your flyer or from your MLS. You don't write down new on your ABID because what difference does it make? He already knew it's new. Why do you need to write down new in your ABID? There's no need to. Who are you trying to impress? The ABID is not to impress the buyer. The ABID is to note anything that is not perfect, anything that requires the buyer's attention. By the time you get to giving the ABID, you know, maybe the buyer already knew that the floor tiles have been, it's new floor tiles. So I don't use the word new, I just say floor tiles replaced. Because it could happen that the tiles are not new. And then I got into trouble with the buyer just by writing the word new over here. Okay? Although I did know that we replaced the tiles. Actually, if you look at my description, I did say new carpet because I knew for a fact that the carpet was new. And we also asked the handyman to put in new baseboards. But in my ABID, I will not put down that observation. What's the point? It's not a material fact. Anything that is good is not a material fact. You don't have to mention that. Okay? All right, nothing to note on the 2 bedrooms. Okay? Other room, nothing. Garage, it says excluding common areas. So if your garage or parking is in the common area, you exclude it. In this case, there is no attached garage. However, there's a carport, okay? But that carport is in the common area. It's maintained by the association. So I don't include it in my ABID, the carport. I don't even have to go to the carport to do my ABID. Okay. Exterior building and yard, front, sides, back. I don't have any yards for the condo. Okay. And exterior building, I suppose I need to say something about that. But I don't have anything that is worth noting here, so I'm just going to put nothing to note, okay? Unless I see like, okay, cracks here, cracks there, then I need to note it, okay? And they have to be significant crack. I mean, they're this small crack, don't worry about it, okay? Now, there are other observed or known conditions not specified above. This one is important here, though. This is where you want to write certain things that you know that are not mentioned above. Okay? Now, I want to write down, I've already mentioned about the exposed wire in the cabinet, right? Something else that I know is the drain pipe. For kitchen sink, not configured to the satisfaction. I know this for a fact. HomeGuard doesn't like this. So I bring it to the buyer's attention, even though I already verbally told the buyer and the buyer has seen the inspection report. But me, in doing my ABID, other observe because I've seen it. I've seen it in the photograph. I've seen it myself physically, that drain pipe, and according to HomeGuard, it wasn't configured properly. Okay? Now, there was something about the electrical that wasn't done properly, but it has been repaired, such that by the time I saw it, it's already fixed. So no issue on that, so I'm leaving that alone because I know it's been fixed. Okay? And also the faucet in the bathroom may have minor leak according to HomeGuard. Even though when I was there, I don't see any leak, but HomeGuard kept insisting that there might be minor leak. I don't see it. That's why I did not note it in my observation earlier, because I didn't see it. But since HomeGuard mentioned it, I better mention it here just to cover myself. Okay, so I mentioned about the faucet, and I mentioned about the drain pipe. Okay, I already mentioned about that damaged door in the storage at the balcony. Okay, and then you basically will say things like recommend buyer reviews HomeGuard inspection report. Okay, just like that. That pretty much cover everything. And since I'm the person that did it, it's a firm who performed the inspection, so it'll be Centermac, right? So it'll be Centermac Realty Inc. Okay, and then I put my name here because I was the one that did it, right? Okay, and the date I can just put today's date because I'm signing it today. Okay, now you actually see that they provide signature block for seller as well as buyer. The law does not require the seller receive a copy. It only requires that the buyer receive a copy. But I will tell you though, there are many transaction coordinators that will insist that they see the seller signature on this document as well. So because of that, I don't want to receive a phone call from the transaction coordinator asking me to have the seller sign. I'll have the seller sign anyway, even though the law does not require that the seller receives a copy. Okay. Firm representing the seller, that would be us. And firm representing the buyer is actually Keller Williams Danville. Okay. And the buyer's agent is this person. And they'll just put whatever date they're going to put. Okay, so this is my AVID. So I'll just quickly review it, make sure I'm not leaving anything out. It does provide spaces for buyer's initial and the seller's initial. Okay. I need to make sure that even if there is nothing to talk about, you want to write down nothing to note. The reason for doing that is to show the reader that you have gone to that space and did your inspection, but you really have nothing to say. So you simply say nothing to note. Okay, don't leave a blank space, because when you leave a blank space, we don't know whether they actually went in there or not, right? I don't know whether you went in, have nothing to say, or you never even went in there. But when you put down nothing to note, then I am convinced that you went in there and really couldn't find anything to note, right? Okay. Also, there's one other thing. It's not a big deal if I don't write it, but with this particular buyer, I felt that I should go ahead and write it anyway. The laundry facility is actually outside of the unit. It's in the common area, okay? So I would say laundry room in the common area next to pool. Okay? Just for this buyer, I would say that because the buyer was asking, oh, Kenny, we didn't know there was no washer and dryer in that unit. I was a little surprised though, because they actually went to the property twice and they opened up the closet. But anyway, because they mentioned that, so I felt it's important that when I prepare my AVID, I want to note it in here that the laundry room is in the common area next to the pool. So there are things in here that are not technically part of the scope for your AVID, but for safety's sake, sometimes you put certain things in here anyway. Okay. And I would say one more thing here though. Oh yeah, okay, that's good now. Okay, so I am finished with my AVID, right? So once I finish with my AVID, what do? I get the signatures. Well, whose signatures am I going to get? I will get my signature and my seller signature. And once I get my signature, my seller signature, then I forward the PDF to the selling agent. Selling agent will get her signature and the buyer signature on the PDF. Okay. So next thing for me to do would be to e-sign. Okay. And I want to use Ziplogics. So I will go ahead and decide who's going to sign. It is me, the listing agent, who's going to sign, and then the seller who's going to sign. So there are two people that are going to sign from using this e-sign, right? So I'll send, you're always going to get this message from Ziplogics. So you just click no thanks. Usually I just kind of click no thanks, okay? Just to get rid of it. And I do not click on the choose a security option, okay? The only person, I'm the first person to sign, so my name will appear first, but there are two people. The person that signs first, the name appears first. The person that signs second, the name appears second. If you had third, fourth, you just go down the line. So you decide who wants to sign first, who you want to sign first. Okay. Now, you want to go through the form, make sure that here, the seller is supposed to sign here, initial, and that's the seller's initial, okay? Notice my signature block is this call that field is missing. That's why you need to check, because don't just blindly send it out, because sometimes you might notice that something needs to be done about this signature field. So you see it's my name and it's asking for a signature, so I'll just go ahead and drag this thing here. Okay, so that creates a signature field for me. So I will be signing this here. Okay, and then you go down further. The seller signature field is already set up automatically. My signature field is not set up, so I have to manually set it up. Set it up right here. Okay. Now with the date, you can leave it here. Sometimes I just move it here. Okay, it's up to you. And then of course, this is to be completed by the selling agent. So you go through once more, make sure everything is done correctly. Make sure all the initials are there. All the initials are there. Okay. All right, I'm ready to send. So I'm going to send it. You just click send. And now the whole thing is sent for signature. You will see the history. I'm the first person to sign. It says action required. That means I have not signed yet. Okay. And once I've signed it, it will say complete. And once it's completed, it will go to the next signer. Okay. And the next signer will sign it. All right. And while you're in this room, you can actually view the document. Right now, it will show that none of the signatures have been signed. But if quit. If I have signed it, not only will this one shows as complete, and if I view this, you will see my signature. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my email. Hopefully it has come in for me to sign. If this is the link, it will say your documents are ready to review. So I will click this one, and then I'll click sign documents. I have the option of going to my account or just signing as a guest. It doesn't matter. It's just a different way to do things. Okay. Now, if I sign in a guest, then maybe my username and password is not significant. It's not important. You see, it doesn't even ask for username if I sign in as a guest. Okay. And then it says accept. Next. And then it will require a password. You have to create your own password when you're in here, okay? Yeah, I decided to use the project. I know. I want to show them the hard way, okay? Now, it will immediately take me to the places where my signatures are required, okay? Since I already know my signatures are required 2 different places here only, I don't need to go upstairs and look for more signature fields. I only got 2 signatures to do, right? So I'll sign right here. This is my space to sign, and this is also my space to sign. Finish. And I can review it. If I review it, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like the seller has not signed yet, but then I have signed it. Okay, so you should see my signature here, here, and here. Okay, and review complete. Okay, and close this one. So now it's closed. So now I'm going to send my seller a text message to let my seller know that the ABID is going her way. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do that later. But so after you send out the e-sign, it's best you text message your client to explain to them what's coming to them so they can open it and they can go ahead and get that taken care of and forward it to the listing agent, no, selling agent, as soon as possible. Now, do you have a risk that the buyer might cancel after they see your ABID? if they have an inspection contingency still alive, they see your ABID, that may trigger cancellation, right? Or they might not care. We don't know. Maybe they don't pay attention to ABID, right? So if you give your ABID after they have removed all contingencies, is that a violation of any law? No, there's no violation of any law. So some people might think, well, wouldn't it be better to give the ABID after the buyer removes all contingencies?
Yes. Because they were not triggered.
No, the buyer may say, well, you knew material facts you did not disclose to me. Therefore, I can still cancel.
Oh.
They may say that. I'm not saying that they would, but they may say that. So it's always better to give it early. In fact, it's better to give it as a part of the disclosure package. That way, you know what? The buyers are less likely to cancel. If you give everything to them up front, they have seen everything, and they feel guilty about coming back to you and say, we want to cancel. Whereas if you give the ABID late, now they have an excuse. And so, well, based on what I've seen on your ABID, something that you mentioned I don't like. So maybe I should cancel this contract. So you want to give your ABID as soon as possible, okay? I'm not saying that it has happened before. In fact, I have never had a case where the buyer actually saw the ABID and said, I want to cancel based on what I've seen on the ABID. I never had a case like that. But it could happen though. So you want to give your ABID as soon as possible, okay? Preferably before you put it on the market, make it part of the disclosure package, right? Okay, great. I couldn't because I did not finish everything in time, so I should have done a better job by making it part of the disclosure package, okay? All right, that's it, and thank you all for participating, and see you all next week. Thanks.